everyone, I'd like to take a couple of minutes to talk to you about how to drive and maintain and operate a Chevy Bolt in really cold weather. Recently there was quite a cold snap that went across the Midwest, and I thought, you know, maybe there's some tips or something I could give you guys on how to deal with that kind of weather. So I'm up here in Alaska, and this is my second winter with a Chevy Bolt in Alaska. It's done great. It's done more than I should have asked from this poor car to do, but I want to spend a few minutes just telling you what I have done to make this vehicle work up here in this climate. So there's a few things that are really important to discuss. Number one is the windshield fogging up. So if you own a Chevy Bolt or a Chevy Volt, you will know that these windshield defrosts just are inadequate for these cars. So during the summertime, and if it's really humid, you'll get a lot of fogging on the inside of your windshield. It's hard to get rid of. I remember my first Chevy Bolt would do that as well. Chevy hasn't really done anything to improve that, even on the EUV. So I'm particularly going to stick with the problems that you have with fogging up your windshield in cold weather. So right now it's minus 33 degrees outside. This morning on my way to work it was minus 40. The temperature gauge won't go below minus 40, so don't get excited if that's as far down as it goes. One thing you can do to really help out with the fogging issue is preheat your car in your garage. If you can't keep yours in a garage, you can do that with your remote. Do the remote start and make sure that you have all of your settings set up before you turn your car off the night before, and then go ahead and preheat it before you get in the morning. I don't know if it's the combination of getting the windshield warm or if it's just getting the humidity out of the air in the vehicle, but either way, it will really help a lot if you can preheat it. You'll notice a stark difference if you don't preheat it. You'll go outside and your windshield will fog up almost immediately. The next thing you should do is your settings. So I switch over to my climate settings. You'll see that I've got my defrost on and my heat going to my feet. If you have heat coming out to your hands in that area, it tends to put a lot of humidity up right here where the windshield is, which in turn goes up on your windshield and then fogs it up. But that's not my point. My point is this setting seems to work the best. If you have your fan somewhere around 2/3 to 3/4, that seems to do pretty good. If you turn your fan up too high, well, let me back up. You have your recycling air here, right? If you haven't switched to outside air, that will affect your feet and where your hands are. But if you're on recycled air and you turn on your defrost will automatically suck in air from the outside. In fact, I don't even know if there is a physical ability for you to suck air from the inside for defrost. So the problem you have though is the heating element up there by the windshield cannot keep up with the cold air at minus 33. So if you have it only on defrost, which sometimes that's what you need to do to get it to go, you're going to freeze yourself out pretty quick because it simply cannot keep up. It cannot bring warm air up against the windshield. So what I do is I put it on defrost and then I have warm air blowing on my feet, and that seems to keep the car generally warm. Another thing you can do for saving battery is also set your temperature down lower. So on the newer bolts, it'll regulate regulate how much power it puts into the heater according to your temperature. If you have an original bolt, 2017, 2018, around that time period, the heater was either full on or full off, so it didn't vary at all by your temperature. In fact, I think it mixed in cold air from the outside to get the right temperature inside, which that doesn't help anyone. So the other thing you'll notice is that my sun visor is down. So it's actually a really important tool for you to keep your window defrosted. As the air comes up, it cups underneath here and it keeps that air circulating around where you need it defrosted. If you leave this up for very long, you'll notice that your window will frost up. Another thing is it also pushes air over to your window. So if you're having problems with your window defrosting, you want to have the visor down as well. Sometimes you can unpop it and even angle it a little bit more so it pushes more air over there. So it is annoying having to drive with my sun visor down all winter long, but hey, it's still the cheapest way for me to get to work, so I'm not going to complain too much about having to do that. The other things as far as climate control go, use your heated seat, use your heated steering wheel. I would never buy a Chevy Bolt without a heated seat or a heated steering wheel, especially if you live in a cold climate, because that really is, probably half of your heating that you'll need. So the package that I got was not a premier package, but it was a package that did cold weather and came with fabric heated seats and the heated steering wheel. So next thing I want to talk about is traction control. So these electric cars are really cool because they have really close to a 50-50 weight distribution between the front and rear wheels. Well, in this kind of weather with the front-wheel drive only car, that's actually a big problem because there's not a big heavy engine sitting on top of the wheels giving it pressure on the tires and onto the road. So you'll notice it's quite hard, especially on icy roads, to drive these vehicles. Starting and stopping is the worst, I think. So one thing that will help is the kind of tire you have. All-weather tires won't work on this vehicle in this kind of climate. You need to make sure you get a good snow ice tire. I'm not promoting anybody. I'm not getting paid for mentioning anybody's names or any brand's names, but what I use is the Ice X tires. The Blizzaks are also really good. I have Blizzaks on my other vehicles and they do a great job. I chose the Ice X for this vehicle because it's known for its low rolling resistance. And as an electric car, that's what you want, is low rolling resistance. It does fairly well. I don't know if it does as good as the Blizzaks. I won't be able to tell until I get a set of Blizzaks, but it's doing a good job. I'm not going to complain so much about it because I can't really compare it to anything else. So the right kind of tires are definitely a plus for driving this thing in the winter months. I read online of people that drive with studded tires, which they say that they do great. I haven't tried those yet either. I chose the Ice X simply because in a lot of the research I did, they seem to have as good a traction as studded tires. So I don't know, maybe they do, maybe they don't, but it does a fairly decent job for what we have. Up here there's a lot of icy roads. I'm on a freeway right now, so it's fairly clear, but if I go into town, it will be nothing but ice roads everywhere. So, and once you get up to speed, you have pretty good traction. Driving on these icy roads up here gives you about the same amount of traction as driving on a fairly well-packed dirt road. So you're going to slide if you try to stop too fast. You're going to spin the tires if you try to accelerate too fast. So just keep that in mind. Speaking about traction, there's one part that I need to explain. These things have the one driving or one pedal driving mode. GM, when you have months or once you get on icy roads, you do not put it in one pedal driving mode. That'll end you up in a ditch pretty quick. So when you turn the one pedal mode off, you'll also notice that you still have a little bit of drag, and GM just has not figured this out. So on icy roads, even if you have a tiny little bit of drag, you are going to slide. The front wheels are going to lock up. So how do you fix this? Well, you can write GM an email and say, hey, when are you going to reduce this drag to zero? Yay, it's nice that it simulates the normal drag of an engine car, but you know what? Electric cars don't need that. That's a waste. You have a brake pedal for that. So regardless, if for some reason you are not in one pedal driving mode and you start to slide because the drag is still too much, always remember zero torque gives you the best traction. So if you give just a tiny bit of power, you know, get your kilowatts somewhere around zero, that's when you know you'll be at zero torque, and that's when you'll get your traction back. So anyways, I've had a couple of scary times where I almost ended up in a ditch because I let off the throttle and I immediately started to slide because of that stupid drag that still exists when you're not in the one pedal driving mode. Okay, the next thing is battery. You've driven one of these things, you know how good the battery can be in the summer and how bad it can be in the winter. Well, when you're driving around minus 30, minus 20, minus 40, your range is almost cut in half. It's about 60 to, well, I don't know, 40, probably 40% of what it should be. So there's some things you can do to help with that. First of all, your heat. I don't know, let me switch over to my climate controls real quick. I'm sorry, not my climate controls, my energy controls. You can see that right now 26% of my battery is being used in climate settings. 4% is heating the battery's conditioning, and 70% is how fast I'm going, how quickly I'm using my energy up. So one thing you can do is, this car seems to be the most efficient at 55 miles an hour. So right now I'm set at 55 miles an hour, and that seems to be helping. If I go higher than 55 miles an hour, I see my kilowatts per mile usage go up. If I go lower, it goes up. So GM seemed to have designed this for the 55 mile mark. So the climate controls, when it's this cold, I simply can't turn my heat off. Sometimes I will cycle my heat. I'll turn it off for a couple of minutes and then I'll turn it on for a couple of minutes, and that seems to work, but my windshield will frost up pretty quick if I play that game at minus 33. So I'm not going to play that on my drive home. I know I got enough miles to get myself home without any problems. So keep in mind that when you're driving around, your miles are going to be decreased a lot. One thing you can do to help with that is keeping your kilowatt usage down. I try to keep mine under 30 kilowatts when I'm driving around in this kind of climate, just because it doesn't stress the battery as much, and it will increase my range quite a bit. If I tried to drive at 70 right now, it would, I don't know, it would knock a lot of my miles off. A lot of my range would be gone. If you can plug in somewhere, even into a 110 plug, even all day long, if you can do that during work or whatever, that will help hold at least maintain the amount of miles that you arrive with. So I do that. I keep a little spare 110 charger with me that I can plug in anywhere possible. What else? Charging during the winter months, charging during the cold like this. Even if you go to a fast charger, you're not going to charge at fast charger rates. You'll be lucky to charge at level 2 rates. So just got to stop at a fast charger and it's this cold out, you're going to be there for quite a few hours before you're full up on your charge. So another thing, make sure you keep your tire pressure decent. I know a lot of people like to lower their tire pressure during the winter months because it gives you better traction on the snow. While I don't doubt that at all, the increased rolling resistance will drag your miles down a lot. One thing to keep in mind, especially at minus 33, minus 30, whatever, when it's this cold, even gas engine vehicles, gasoline vehicles, are not as efficient